So all of our repair orders are documented with photos and videos that get text over to a customer, not one at a time. It comes over in a really cool report, and then has the estimate attached to it. The customer can approve it. The second the customer approves it, parts are automatically ordered. It's really seamless.
Welcome to Boys Under the Hood, a podcast dedicated to elevating locally owned automotive shops across America, helping them to become more efficient and making more money in the process. The Boys Under the Hood podcast is sponsored by Lotus Business Solutions. And rather than throw the sales pitch, I'd invite you to look at some of our previous podcasts where we speak to shop owners who have used Lotus Business Solutions and have addressed some of the challenges of their shops with the help of James. We had a fine couple from Wisconsin a couple weeks back, and then Tim Lanza from Leominster just a couple weeks ago. People who reached out after they noticed that their systems were just not doing what they wanted, and they had to come up with better systems. And that's where Lotus Business Solutions steps in from top to bottom. And that's from developing systems to retaining good employees to finding better employees. Lotus Business Solutions can help you out a lot there. Lotus Business Solutions, lotuspe.us there. Lotus Media, we can help you create a message that makes your business effective in your marketplace, differentiating you from what every other shop around you is doing, being focused on who your demo is, who's your customer, what time of year is it, what message are we passing out this particular season to bring more vehicles into your shop. And lastly, Lotus Financial, and I've said this every single time, no friggin' guy at the end of the day wants to go home and do books.
No.
You know, it's I did voiceover for a long time, and I stopped doing it because I hated doing the admin. And to this day, I'm kicking myself that I didn't get somebody to do that for me because I could have focused on what I was doing instead of, at the end of the day, oh, shit, I got to do all these invoices. I got to blah, blah, blah. Lotus Financial can help you out there. I'm really excited. We're coming off the Dallas Cowboys kicking the New York Giants' arses really hard in Dallas, Texas. Hello, Dallas, Texas peeps. What's going on? How do you like me now?
Yeah.
No, don't.
But the Giants aren't really that good this year.
No, they're
either,
terrible. Right? It's not Danny DeVito, the actor, that's their quarterback, but it's Tony DeVito. I don't know, some guy who's basically a walk-on. He wasn't drafted. He went to their open practice, and they picked him up. Similar to the Vinny Papale story with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just some kid off the street who had some talent, which is really says a lot to a guy who, and this really speaks to all of us, right? He had a dream big enough to follow through and fight for it. Yeah. And he probably had people along the way saying to him, you know, there's no friggin' way you're ever going to be in the NFL. And he said, you know what, screw you guys. I'm going to give it my best. And now he's playing professional football.
That's awesome.
And I feel like that also kind of, that speaks to a lot of the challenges and a lot of the kind of solutions that we give here for shop owners who are really kind of questioning whether this is the business that they should be in. Yeah. You know, they maybe look around and they're like, you know, I'm barely making it. I'm working week to week, barely making my payroll. And that's really something that we're here to help solve, because that's been the pain points of most of the shop owners that we've talked to so far is the systems, right? One of the things that we've talked about is, you know, knowing what the expenses of running the business are, right? Not the overhead, all of it. Is there an equation for that you use?
What do you, how so? What do you
like? Mean? Do you just sit down and say, okay, this is what this costs me at the end of the month, or do you like apply a percentage? Like this percentage of all the gross money that comes in should go to tax. This percentage of the money should go to this. Is there, a system there that you can kind of drop into any shop like that?
Yeah. There's an exact formula, you know. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep everything into certain buckets. And so the first money out, right? So if you make $100, you know, you got 20% that you pay to the techs and 20% that's your first money out. And so these people that are like, oh, I take the money first, I don't. We always pay the staff first. Then we pay vendors, right? Those are the two things that you absolutely, totally, completely need.
Right.
Then you've got about 10% that you could spend on the front of the house, right? So you could spend 20%, and these numbers are loaded, meaning, you know, it includes all your tax, all your benefit, you know, your benefit load, all that stuff. So you got 20% for techs, you got 20% for parts, you got 10% for the front of the house. You got 30% that you can spend on overhead. You get 10% for advertising, and then the business has to retain about 10%. And those are like the numbers that you would want to stay in for, essentially a healthy shop. And so sometimes, like Aaron and Steph we talked to a couple weeks ago, they never spent $1 ever on advertising. Never once. I mean, maybe a couple $100 in the 3.5 years I worked with them. And so what they would do is they wanted a little bit more staff in the front of the house. So they just took some of that 10% that they would normally use on advertising, and they saved some of it. They kept some of it for just, little programs, website maintenance and things like that. And then they used the rest of it for, hiring some more people in the front of their house. They felt that the money was better spent making sure that somebody always answers the phone, not some type of a robo push 1 for this or 2, you know what I mean? And then they didn't want to have like robo follow-ups, right? Hey, press 1 if your service was good. No, just they have somebody call. Hey,
Right.
This is James calling from Precision Auto. Hey, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. Your car was in for service yesterday. How'd we do?
Well, that's important in this world too, right? Because everything is so automatic. Replies are so automatic.
Yeah.
To hear an actual voice of someone who really gives a crap about their experience with you.
Yeah.
And that's not always an easy call to make.
Yeah. They have somebody there that's all she does is she makes those calls. Not all she does, but that's one of her main functions. And then after she does that, she writes a handwritten thank you card. Hey, thank you for your trust. Never say thank you for your business. I hate that. I cringe when I hear that. Thank you for your trust. It's trust, man. They trusted you to do anything.
Well, that's emotional.
Yeah.
Right. That's an emotional response as opposed to thank you for your business.
Yeah.
Thank you for counting on us.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the messages that with Precision Auto in particular that we use. Matt says thank you a lot.
All the time.
Even in his advertising.
Yeah.
So that it comes from his heart, that you really care. We talk about integrity, and that's really what it is, start to finish. Do you have integrity? Do you look out for your customer's safety above the dollar that you might make?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that Matt has talked about a lot is, I know that his process is when you bring your vehicle in for a brake job, they check out the entire vehicle, not just the brakes that they're fixing. They look around and to see what issues might be coming up in 6 months or a year, not to try to squeeze the customer for more money, but to let the customer know that, hey, we give a shit about your health on the road and your family that you're driving around, that you're going to need this done a year from now.
People get more upset if they come in and we tell them, hey, look, Pat, your car needs brakes and it's $1,200, right? You get this truck, whatever, it's $1,200. And so then we go ahead and we do the brakes, and then the vehicle leaves. Customer comes back, it's like, man, I got this clunking, from the right front. I don't know what it is. And we take a look at it. We say, well, yeah, I mean, it's because your ball joint's bad. And, you also need struts and you need all this. Now you need another $2,000 in suspension work. The person is more pissed off at that than if you tell them, hey, look, you brought the vehicle in because you got this brake noise and we found that you need brakes. But you also, while we were in there, we found that your suspension has some issues, and these are the issues, and here are the photos, and here's the videos, and everything.
Yeah.
They would much rather do it right then and there, or at least know and budget for it later, however that would work out. But they would rather know right then and there than, like later. I don't know. I would feel kind of gross, right? Like if I went there and I paid all this money and they said they checked the vehicle out, and then I go back because I have another issue or what I perceive to be the same thing. And now all of a sudden they're like, well, now you need all of this extra stuff. And I'm not going to say it never works out like that, because sometimes the car is good today and then in a couple weeks something else breaks and you just didn't know. And there's that gray area. But, that's not what I'm talking about. We need to make sure that our customers know 100% of what's going on with their car 100% of the time. And then that way they can make a fully informed decision. Everything, all of the systems, all the policies, all the procedures, everything that we do and everything that we implement, all of the systems that we develop, all of it is all to make sure that the customer has a consistently high quality experience all the time. And that starts with having people that are just really, really good at what they do, right? Good attitude, aptitude, and ethics.
In your experience with Lotus Business Solutions, how many shop owners nationwide just fix the vehicle for what they see that one time?
Too many. And that's dangerous. And that could be really, really dangerous. If you bring a car into a shop and they only address that one single issue and they don't look at anything else, that's potentially a real problem. And I'll give you an example of that. I don't know how long ago this was, because I've been hearing the same story, and I've probably reiterated it a few times. But years ago, and I believe it was in Vermont or New Hampshire, there was a tech, and this was bigger news in our industry. This tech, lower end tech, somewhat inexperienced, but knew enough how to do some basic repairs. He worked at a small shop, and right around lunchtime, he's getting ready to take lunch, and the shop owner says, "Hey, Pat, I need you to do this oil change for me. Just pull it in, pull it out, change the oil, and we'll get on with our day, and you can get to lunch." So, of course, the guy's motivation is to get to lunch, not to necessarily do a good job. And so he basically drains the oil, changes the filter, replaces it all, right? Changes the filter, replaces the oil, and pulled the vehicle out. Customer was driving down the road, and the customer essentially hit a bump, and the lower ball joint released from the control arm, and the customer smashed into a guardrail. I don't know if they actually died, but the guy got seriously hurt. So who gets in trouble for that?
So is there a liability for that?
Yeah, huge. So you can go back and you can sue the shop, obviously, for negligence, because, the shop, if you knew how to do it, you wouldn't need the shop, right? So for us, when the car comes in, not only do we have this ethical responsibility, well, guess what, buddy? We have a legal one. If something goes wrong, we could be on the hook for that. And in this case, what ended up happening was the family sued the shop for negligence, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but, and sued the shop, and they were able to get criminal charges pressed on the technician, and the technician went to jail for it.
Okay, so did the tech know that it was an issue when
The tech didn't know it was an issue. The tech, I guess willingly just didn't check anything else, admitted that all I did was change the oil. I was told to change the oil. He did. And since, he has this responsibility to the customer at that point, because the vehicle's up in the air, it's your job to do this multi-point inspection. When we're changing oil, it's not changing oil. When we're changing oil, that is an opportunity to take a look at the car that this person has, in a lot of cases, beat the shit out of,
right,
for months and months and months on end. And not all customers come back when it's supposed to have the vehicle serviced, and they stay proactive about this stuff. They come back after they hit that pothole that made their teeth chatter, and they're like, "Oh, maybe I should get the car in. I got this vibration now on top of the light, on top of the shake, on top of the clunking, on top of all this other stuff." And so now you get the car in, you have to take a look at that car for that customer. And so the other thing that can happen too, that's very basic, is that if you don't service the car properly and that customer has another issue right after they leave, they're probably going to go somewhere else. They're not always going to tell you.
How many times have you, in your experience, seen someone fix an issue, and then the customer comes back and says, "Ever since you fixed that issue, now I've got this sound"?
So we have systems built around that, because it's happened so many times, and it is very, it is super common. And usually what happens is the customer's just hypersensitive to everything, because you've been in the vehicle and you touched the vehicle. And so with us, any noises that come into our shop, right? What I mean by that, it's not like people that walk in talking. That's not what I mean by noises, but right, cars that come in, customer has a noise. "Hey, I got this noise when I'm turning left and I hit a bump." Perfect. Go for a ride with a technician, right? Every time you have to go for a ride with the technician. I don't care who you are, what your car is, doesn't matter. You go for a ride, right? And so what the technician is doing is he's verifying your exact noise. He's not verifying something else. And on top of that, he's able to say, "Hey, Pat, did you hear this other thing? Did you hear that?" Right? And it also gives them, a place to go after. And then that way we begin to document accordingly. And so all of our repair orders are documented with photos and videos that get texted over to a customer, not one at a time. It comes over in a really cool report, and then has the estimate attached to it. The customer can approve it. The second the customer approves it, parts are automatically ordered. It's really seamless.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a way that we're very transparent in our repair process. On top of that, when that tech is done with that vehicle, the second that tech is done with that vehicle, he takes it for a road test again. And then he's going to sign off in the app basically saying, hey, look, this thing is great. Now, after he's done, another tech that didn't even work on the vehicle, knows really nothing about it, he's going to drive it. And he's going to listen for any noises, any irregularities, look for fingerprints, boot prints, anything that just shouldn't be just so. And then after he's done or she is done, an advisor is going to then do the same routine, and they all have a portion of a digital inspection that they need to do. You know, we've had customers come in through the years. It's been very few and far between that this has happened, but I remember one time we had a guy, he dropped off a car. We walked out. 2 techs had walked out at the same time. They looked at it. Oh, man, that guy got into some kind of an accident. Like the whole side of the car was wiped out. They went through, they, looked at the vehicle. It was there for something basic. They looked at the vehicle, pulled the car out. Customer didn't do the work. A couple days later, we get a call. Hey, such and such insurance company, you damaged this guy's car. We didn't damage this guy's car. We didn't damage his car. Yeah. He said he didn't have that damage before you got there.
Wait, let me stop you right there. And I hate to continue to go back to Precision, but I know them because I bring my vehicle there.
Yeah.
Through Lotus Media, we've helped build that business.
Yeah.
The first thing that I noticed when I got my headlights done 2 weeks ago is that there was a guy out there taking pictures of the exterior of my car.
Yeah. Before.
And I was like, and at first I'm like, what the and then I thought, smart.
Yeah.
Now it's documented.
Yeah, before, during, and after, everybody. And so you're going to get multiple people that will take pictures of your vehicle while it's in our care and control. Everyone. We'll document damage early, right? The second the car gets there in that spot, we're not allowed to, like our techs or writers or anybody are not allowed to actually move that car from the space that the customer dropped it off until you at least get those preliminary photos, period.
Yeah, and that way when the time comes that the insurance company calls you up, and you're like, no, man, look at this.
Yeah.
That's the vehicle before he just crashed it and pinned it on us.
It's far between. It doesn't happen a lot, but nonetheless, it has happened enough that, that we've made a policy around it. Like that car that was all damaged down the side, we didn't damage that car. That car had nothing to do with us. We had to pay for it. We had to pay for it. It was something like $2,800 in damage. It had nothing to do with us. We did nothing to that car. He was there for like a wiper issue or something basic. Nothing to do with us. The car was wiped out on the side. And then, in the wintertime, you've got salt and road grime and everything. And all of the pictures showed all of that salt and road grime and everything over the damage. How the hell would we have damaged the vehicle and then put all of that salt and road grime back on the side of the car? But, it was in our care and control. And so after that, we said, look, we need to be very diligent about taking these photos before, during, and after all the time so that this doesn't happen again. And it never did.
I just want to quickly mention for anyone tuning into the podcast in Arizona, here in New England, they spread salt on the roads. See, we've got huge accumulations of salt that they throw on the roads, and it does horrible things to your vehicle's exterior and underneath. By the way, the undercarriage is
destroys them. Yeah, the rust belt.
What do you got? We got a question. You want to answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to.
And I would say, if you have a question for us or would like to leave a comment, please do. Interaction makes the podcast go, man. This comes from Anne Marie, who is a auto shop owner in Hinsdale, Mass.
Okay. They race. What do they race? Dogs up there or something?
Do they have greyhound still?
Track, greyhound racing track?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they?
Isn't that like cool?
There was one in Connecticut, and they had an expose on 60 Minutes back in the day. I don't know if they still do this, but they were training the greyhounds with live rabbits.
I thought they had the thing on the.
No, they do, but to get that thing into the greyhounds' heads, they train them with live rabbits.
Huh.
So that now they think they're chasing a live rabbit. It doesn't occur to the damn greyhound that the rabbit's running in an oval.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen.
Did you ever bet on horses or anything like that?
Sometimes. Saratoga Springs is.
I love Saratoga.
Such a great place, and another cute town in New York. And they only have the thoroughbreds, I think, a couple times a year, but they do have the harness racing almost all year round.
Yeah.
Just a great vibe.
Yeah.
I love it. I've not done a lot of betting on the horses because there's a lot to do there. Like they get some sort of injection. Some of them, I forget what it is.
Oh, really?
It's not a performance enhancing thing, but it's because of a condition they might have, but it might or might not affect their performance kind of thing.
Oh.
All sorts of stuff going on.
Do you have like a method to how you bet on them? Everybody has like their own system.
Yeah, I just, whoever's the longest shot, I'll put a few bucks on.
Same thing.
And then
I take the bottom two.
you take the bottom two and
Take the bottom
cross your fingers. Everybody has a bad week.
Yeah.
You know, if you get them on their good day, that's when the money comes in.
Yeah.
So in any case, Hinsdale, Massachusetts, this is Anne-Marie who writes, hey, James and Pat, love the show. My husband and I listen every week. Thanks a lot, Anne-Marie. Appreciate that. I'm hoping that you can help me. I actually met James about 5 years ago at a training in Worcester.
Oh, okay.
The instructor was great, but towards the end of the session, he was just talking to James, asking questions about how to fix issues with his client shops. It was pretty comical to see James basically run the training from the middle of the room as an attendee. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
She continues, my shop is having issues with our sales process. We're getting a ton of decline in work and can't figure out why. Our labor rate is the lowest I've found in the area. All of our marketing offers very good discounts, and we're basically contactless. I really don't know.
I'm sorry. So repeat that last part. I'm sorry.
She writes, our labor rate is the lowest that I've found
Okay.
in the area. All of our marketing offers very solid discounts, and we're basically contactless.
Okay. 3 problems all in
Okay.
of themselves.
I really don't know what the problem is, but I'm really fearful, especially going into wintertime. What do you think I'm doing wrong, and can you help me fix it?
Okay.
Let's start with the discounts. What does that say to your business when you're offering huge discounts?
I think you should offer discounts here and there, offer things that, on consumable things like oil changes and tire rotation services that people are going to use regularly anyways, because that's an opportunity for us to get a customer in the door and take a look at their vehicle. It doesn't mean sell them a bunch of shit they don't need. It means take a look at their vehicle, especially going into winter, like so much that could go wrong with these vehicles, and so that's, I don't know. I'd rather give away free stuff. I'd rather give away free inspect this, free inspect that. We do like a free 10-minute inspection. Customer has a check engine light on, and we don't want to send them to a parts store or something like that, and we don't necessarily know what it needs yet. So we'll do a free 10-minute inspection. That goes for noises and all kinds of different issues. But we just call it a quick 10. So that 10-minute inspection is just meant to get an idea. Sometimes we can diagnose the issue in that amount of time if it's something quick and easy. But for the most part, it's just meant to give us an idea of a diagnostic path or a testing path that we need to take. And it's also a real value add for the customer. We don't want any money from you. We just want to take a look at it and see, and get a better idea of how long this is going to take.
So is there a danger there if you start offering a $10 oil change? Come in every Tuesday for a $10 oil change. Will that put you in a spot that's hard to get out of, or?
The only problem with the $10 oil change is that you get the $10 customer, and so the people that are generally offended when you say something like this is they are the person, they are that person,
Right.
They are that person, and respectfully, like, they can go anywhere that they want, but it just doesn't mean that, like, just because you own a business, the customer is not always right, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people were taught that, but it's just not the case. And again, we've talked about it before, cash flow and time are 2 things that, are very essential to us. You don't want to, like, really waste a lot of your time on these negative people that all they care about is, like, only if you can do it cheaper. I need it as cheap as possible right now. No, it's not for me. I want people that want the job done properly, right? People that care about the quality, because we are not the cheapest. We will not try to be the cheapest. We don't even focus on price. I don't even, like, really review a lot of that stuff as frequently as I probably should. And I know at, like, my level, people will be like, oh, what the hell is this guy talking about? I'll review my labor rate about once a quarter based on expenses. And so we have a spreadsheet that calculates out, and tells us based on our actual expenses what our labor rate needs to be. Same thing as, like, part prices change all the time. And so most shops that are, self-sufficient or higher level shops, they'll have a shop management system that is computerized, and they'll have a matrix attached to, like, their parts and sometimes their labor. And so it'll say, okay, if a part costs this much, then it automatically sells for this much. And you basically input the cost, and it will spit out your current labor. or your current part rather, or your current part price rather, your retail sell price. And so in other cases, like, why wouldn't you review your labor? Like, every part that goes into the system is the newest part price. And so you're maintaining perfect profitability on your parts as long as you're using that matrix. But yet labor, we don't check it except for once a year or once every other year. And then we base it on the guy down the street's expenses.
Well, so that was another thing that Anne-Marie brought up. She says that they have the lowest rates in the area. So
That's a problem.
she's done some market research.
Yeah.
And she's decided that, okay, we're going to be the lowest.
But that doesn't make you more attractive.
Right. What
because
is
you're
that?
the cheapest.
What does that mean to the techs that you're attracting when you offer the lowest labor rates?
So just like the business coach side of me, when I hear that, I start hearing all the things that are important to her, right? That we are the cheapest labor rate, that we are, we offer all these discounts. What was the last one? What was the
last one? She said they were contactless.
And they're contactless. That's another huge one.
So
right?
what does that mean?
How do you build value in your job, in your people, in your service, in your warranty? How do you do all of that not talking to people? You have to, everything that we do, every touch that we have with that customer is sales, right? Like, they call your business, right? We do all of these things. We advertise on Rock 102, we advertise on social media, and we do all of our SEO stuff, and we get our paid ads out there, and we send our mailers, and we do all of this different stuff. All of that does nothing but make the phone ring. Or, they schedule through online, but you understand the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
And then, so what do we do with that interaction then? Right? Do you just answer the phone? Hey, Pat's Garage, what do you need? Right?
I've had that one too.
Right, Pat's Garage.
It sounds like they couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, they can't be bothered with your business.
Disturbing this guy. No, we have a friendly voice. Hey, thank you for calling Precision Auto. How can I help you?
Right.
A person. We switched over to one of those phone systems years ago because we get a lot of the same calls all day long. It's the same type of call. How much for this or how much for that? And most people don't really want to know how much it is. They just don't know what questions to ask. A lot of people never had a car breakdown. All of a sudden something breaks, they panic. What the hell do I do? And so they call, hey, how much is this? How much is that? And so, how does your warranty work? How does your financing work? We offer repair financing, 90 days, same as cash, essentially. And so how, just all these same repetitive questions. And so we're like, we're spending a lot of time on these questions. Let's just get a phone system where they can press these prompts and they'll listen to a pre-recorded, whatever. And so instantly appointments dropped off. Instantly. You could watch it to the day, when appointments started dropping off. And then one day we shut the system off and you could watch it instantly. Appointments went up.
Just by talking to people.
Just by talking to people. And so when we think about, what's the last time you called a bank or something or wherever, and when you start having to push numbers, I'm like, just give me a person. I just want to talk to a person.
Here's me when that happens. I'm on my phone listening to the prompts. And I'm just repeatedly hitting 0.
Operator.
Right.
Operator.
Please say, right, that's right. Service.
Yeah. I didn't understand you. Operator.
Please hang up and try again. Right?
I can't, thank you.
Well, and also, when you talk to a human, you're also talking to someone who can empathize with you because they also drive a vehicle.
Well, have you gotten these AI people yet?
The artificial intelligence generated voices like that.
But they're creepy. They, I don't know. Like, have you gotten them yet? When you're talking to a computer and you don't quite realize it. Like, it's very conversational. It's odd.
Oh yeah. I like fucking with it when they do because if you say things like yes or no, then they can. They're like, oh really? Tell me more about what you're. And you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And then I just start throwing words at them they've never heard.
Yeah. I don't know. So you've got to have really good phone procedures, right? It all starts with that. Yeah. And then, when you take your phone call, you have to enter that into a call log. And so you keep all of that right up on the screen all the time. Phone rings, it's second nature. You're entering it in there. Where did the call come from? Who is it? Why did they call? What was the outcome? All of these basic things. And we have spreadsheets that we give to all of our clients that, they operate on. We are big on tracking every call. And on top of it, we record calls too. And then we take samples. And so that way I can go back and say, hey, Pat, you had this short call with this customer. What had happened? We listened to it together. Tell me about this. You had this 10-minute call with this customer. That's a long time to spend on the phone. Let's listen to it. Tell me what happened, And then we use that as a learning experience. Sometimes Great. This is awesome. Call sometimes. Hey, Pat, we could improve upon it this way. Or, man, we're getting a lot of customers from this bad lead source, right? Or we're getting a lot of customers from this really good lead source. Let's do more of this and let's do a little less of this, right? Hey, we just started allocating all of this money over to this different type of lead source, and all it's bringing in is a lot of like really negative customers, really negative clients. And we're spending a lot of time on the phone, and our staff is being abused by these people. What do? Well, we don't advertise there anymore. If all of a sudden we start doing something different and we don't like the result, we need to figure out what happened, why, and then potentially change course or just adjust a little bit, right? Adaptability, it's huge. And, and so that's just the phone. Then they come in. What is your procedure when they come in? How do you treat them?
What do you look like? What does your waiting room
all
look
of
like?
it,
right?
All of it. Yeah. Is it shitty and there's like dogs barking and going crazy and I've seen those before. They'll have a dog, a big dog in there. I love the dogs, but the thing's behind there foaming at the mouth trying to get to you. Right. I'm not really sitting there trying to tell you what the heck is wrong when I'm in fear for my legs or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know what this dog is going to do.
And we've all been to that shop where you walk in and right away, it's that first impression to me is everything when you walk into a shop, because in my mind, if they have their shit together in the first presentation, that tells me that they've got their shit together in the back of the house.
Yeah.
And it's important. And like you said, it's always a sale, and your guys are accessible. I mean, except when it's very cold out, the bays are always open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
You can actually interact with the actual techs, and a lot of the techs know their customers. So when they bring their vehicle in, they're like, hey, how's it going since I did that brake job? Everything okay? And they have those conversations, which you can't have in a contactless environment. It's very impersonal. And I know this world has kind of turned that way. You want contactless? Shop on Amazon.
Yeah, it's true.
It really is.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when I talk to these business owners, and they'll be like, well, our lobby is still closed. You're not doing that that's not to help the customer. That is not good for you. That's, and some of them will say, well, it's good. We keep people out of here. Well, you're keeping people out of there in general. People don't they just want to be treated the way that you would want to be treated. If you go somewhere and you have to wait outside and you're kind of treated this way and at arm's length, it just accessibility, it's like having a child and you're trying to give a child chores to do, right? We want our girls to begin to clean their bathrooms, right? They're old enough. They should be able to clean their bathroom, right? They share a bathroom and they are little disasters. They
in a very good way, though.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, little disasters.
Yeah.
What do you mean by this? That they're all over the place because they've got the energy of young kids.
Yeah, and they got stuff everywhere. They don't clean up after themselves. They make these crazy little messes for these little people. It's hilarious. Of course. And then and Nicole goes crazy. These girls got to clean up their messes.
Right.
It's so how do we get them to clean up their messes? And the first thing is, one, we write it down. Hey, these are your chores, and this is your list, and these are the things that you need to do daily, and here's the things that you need to do weekly. So we give them chore lists, and I promise I'll make this relevant to businesses. And so we give them their chore list. And then if they don't do it, you have to take something away. Hey, you take away your TV privilege, or we take away your phone, or you know what, you don't get to go to soccer today or something, just depending on what chore that they missed, right? You have to work to get the reward. And, and then the other thing is we have to make it as easy as possible. If every time that they go and they're trying to use, glass cleaner or something like that to wipe down their mirror, and they have to walk all the way to the other side of the house, or it's never there, or, you just got to make it as easy as possible. You got to let them just fall out of bed and land right in their slippers with their bathrobe on, right? Make it as easy as possible. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do for employees too, right? And customers. We want to make sure that the experience is easy as possible, because people are going to go where it's easier. They're always going to follow the path of least resistance that is more positive. No sane people are like, oh man, I really like to feel pain and misery all the time. I like to be unhappy. No one ever says that, right? It's always, man, I really, it's the pursuit of happiness. Everybody is always trying to be happy and positive, right?
Right.
Ultimately, that is what drives people. And so if you know that, right, we talked about this before, you sell the hole, not the drill, right? How are we going to make their life better? How can we make this experience better? And you're doing that not just for your employees, you're doing that for your clients as well, all of them, everybody as a whole. And that, once you can figure out how to do all of that and do it consistently, it doesn't mean from today to tomorrow it's all going to be figured out, because it's ever evolving. But once you can figure that out, you can figure out business.
And just speaking to the contactless thing again, I currently work full-time in a business that's 100% contact-free, right?
Yeah.
I work on the radio.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whenever I'm in the building, if someone comes in to get a prize, I always ask them, hey, you want to take a look at what we see?
Yeah.
Or what we do? Take them downstairs.
So cool.
Get them in front of the console. Show them, explain why we play the music that we play. Because a lot of people are like, oh, did you pick your own music? And I'm like, no, we don't. There's a system that we have to pick the
I
music.
remember asking you that. If I could you play this song for me? You're like, no, I'm fucking DJ.
Yeah, on my college radio station, I could have. But so the music is set up basically so that the same people don't hear the same songs at the same time day to day.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But making that personal connection for me, first of all, I'm just very proud of what I do. I love showing people, because for people that don't know, similar to when you walk into the back of a shop and see what these guys are actually doing, it opens their eyes and like, holy shit, this isn't just something that I tune into my car. Like, there's actually work going on here. There's processes that are being followed. And another part of that is sometimes we're out with the radio station. I love being in front of people because you get that personal connection. You can relate, because there are so many ways that we're so much the same on so many levels that they don't think of you as this guy, or in the case of a shop, some nameless, faceless tech who's doing work that I have no idea about.
Sure.
You meet the guy and look in his eyes and you realize, hey, we're a lot alike.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the personal approach to it. I hate the press 1 for this and 2 for that. And
people do business with people.
It's true.
People do business with people. And so how do we do business with people and do it at a really high level, right? And then do the same thing all the time. And so people that struggle with that, there's an incredible book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It's an incredible book, and it's for anybody that is in business, starting out in business. If you've never read that book, you really have to read it. It's essential. And what it basically does is it illustrates the point of having systems and, somewhat how to put systems in place for your business. But it's incredible. It's really incredible. And so day one with our shops, week one, we begin to roll out a handbook. So we give everybody a semblance of a handbook, and then from there we work on certain areas. We let them, teach them how to go after low-hanging fruit, and and then from there we work on the bigger stuff together. And that handbook is ever evolving. We don't print it out. We don't do anything like that. We share it, and everybody views it online because it's changing every day.
Matt just came up with a thing last week where something happened in the shop, and he said out loud, "That's not in the handbook." It is now.
Matt, I was talking to Matt. So Matt had 2 advisors sick last week. Matt got sick, and then one of the techs got sick. And it left everybody, pretty shaken, because it was a skeleton crew there. And I'm talking to him about it, and he was like, yeah, I know what to do when people are sick, but like, this isn't in the handbook. Right. Yeah, so, you're right. Yeah. You can't plan for everything like that, but to get back to her question, and finally give her an answer, you have to see people to build rapport and then build value in yourself and your shop. Contactless is something that I would never really recommend, especially at pickup. We start to sell our product and based on who we are and building value in our shop and our people on that initial phone call. Customer calls, say, hey, how much is it for, check engine light diagnosis? What do you say, right? Do you just say, well, it's $130 and then pause? Or do you explain what the process is? Hey, Pat, that's a great question. So here, any type of testing always starts with our technicians first taking a road test in the vehicle, right? So we take a road test and we want to get a good feel for it. When they're doing that, they're going to begin to take this multi-point inspection. We begin to explain what that is,
right.
And then they'll get the vehicle back and they're going to hook up a scan tool. And what the scan tool does is as we hook this up to the vehicle, it's going to give us a sequence of numbers. It never really actually tells us what's wrong with the vehicle, but it's going to give us a sequence of numbers. And that sequence of numbers is going to lead us to a troubled area. And so what I want you to do is think of like a skyscraper, right? And the skyscraper's got 100 floors. And so what happens maybe when you go to like a parts store or something like that is they're going to tell you, hey, look, there's a problem on the 47th through the 51st floor. And, we've seen people buy this part, that part, and the other. And so sometimes it'll be one of these things.
Right.
What we do is we'll say, hey, look, the problem is on the 48th floor. It's the 5th room on the left. When you walk in, you take 5 steps forward, you take 1 step to the right, you look down, and that's where the problem will be.
Right.
That's the difference between what we do and what they do. And on top of it, we're going to do this multi-point inspection. And so what that is, and you go through what it is, it's all these points. We look at this, that, the brakes, and we're going to send you this beautiful digital inspection. And so in your case, you drive a Honda, and I'm going to have, I'm going to have Pat look at your vehicle. And Pat is a master tech. He's been with us for many years. Man,
thanks.
Nobody better to look at your vehicle than Pat, right? We're building value in us, in our shop, in our procedure, our process, all of that. And for all of that, it's going to be, whatever price, right? Years ago, I read a study, and it basically said that when people go in to bring their car to have it repaired, and I've said this a million times too, when they bring their vehicle in for repair, they measured EKG, is that what that is? Measures like heart rate and all this stuff,
yep.
right? So and so they hook these people up to all these monitors, and they measured them over time. And basically what they found is that when somebody goes in for auto repair, they have the same level of anxiety as they do going in for a major surgery, right? Because they're so fearful of what this auto repair shop is going to say.
Right.
Man, that's powerful, right? Like that's powerful information, and that's awesome for us to know, because we know these people are keyed up the second they pick up the phone to call us. And so it makes our job easier. We know that they have high anxiety and that this is a stressful time. Great. Even more reason to stick to our procedures that we know really create a positive and transparent outcome for that customer. We got to let them know what we're going to be doing without bogging them down with all of the semantics of day to day. We need to let them know what we're doing and why we're better, right? Sell the whole, sell the whole, not the drill.
So that's one of the things that I know for a fact, because I've had experiences like this. While someone who runs a successful shop might look at that as an opportunity to shine, there are some shops who look at that anxiety and like, how much money can we get from this person now that we got up on the lift? Yeah.
That's gross, and those are the shops that, that type of person, because I meet them too. We get those people call us, they'll call us, oh, I need help with my shop, and I can't get good techs, and I can't, and the first thing, it's never that I can't get techs. It's techs aren't worth a shit. I can't, people suck. This sucks. That sucks. Everybody's negative. You listen to these people talk for a couple minutes, and instantly you're like, is he just in a mood, or like, is this his natural thought process? Because, where I'm at in my career, it's like, I'm not trying to change you as a person like that, right? Like if you're just totally wired for negativity, if you have like little negative traits here and there and negative self-talk rate, we can work through that stuff, and we have Stella works with us. Stella's a mindset coach. And so for our portfolio companies, Stella will work with them and get them really high producing, feeling good about themselves, get them exercises and things that they can do. But sometimes some of these people, you're like making me feel negative just on the phone with you right now.
We've all worked with that guy.
Oh my gosh, he's terrible. Right? He walks into the lunchroom and you're like, everybody get the fuck out of here. I see Bill's coming in, everybody out.
I see that person now and I just say in my head, thank God that's not me.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a miserable existence. Yeah. We can find negatives in every single thing that we do, right?
Hate everybody, hate everything, every interaction. Imagine that?
Everyone's against me. The world's against me.
Those shops are always the ones that are racing as quick as they can to the bottom. There's a litany of them out there, right? And so what I mean by that is they're racing to the bottom is they are looking at everybody else's price and they're basing their labor rate only on that. Then they have no money to pay for better tools, right? And really, really good technicians don't want to work with the old stuff, right? Or, because the technology evolves. And so as the technology on the cars evolve, so does the diagnostic equipment. If you are not charging what you need to charge, you cannot invest in these special tools and special wrenches. Like if you go out there with a set of 6-point sockets and some ratchets and some wrenches, you're obsolete. These cars all have like special bolts that were all specifically made just for Audi or just for Mercedes or what. You got to have all kinds of specialty tools. And so how do you get that stuff if you're constantly trying to charge less than everybody else, right? Does the guy that is priced just above you, does he have it? Right? Like you got to have these things. You got to have the right equipment, the software, and then you've got to send these guys to training just to teach them how to do it. And on top of all of that, if you want somebody that is really going to care about your company and they're going to apply all these things and they're going to actually go to the training and not fall asleep, and they're going to actually do the homework when they go to the trainings, and they're going to begin to apply more and ask good questions at work and show up on time and invest some of their hard-earned money back into different little hand tools that'll make their job easier, do you think that you have to pay them lower than everybody else? No, you got to pay them a livable wage, right?
Right. And, if you race to the bottom like that, it's only a matter of time until one component of the whole fails. Whether it's underpaying guys and now their job satisfaction sucks, whether it's maybe having to get parts that are not high quality to reach that.
How you do anything is how you do everything, right?
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is, if you are going to skimp in certain areas, like you're going to be a skimper in general. So if you don't see value in paying your staff, but you see value in making money yourself, there's a problem.
Matter of time.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. You have to help your staff reach their goals. So whether that's just monetarily or what, like you got to know your staff. You have to talk to your staff. You got to help them reach their goals, and when you do that, they're going to help you reach your goals. But you can't just, like, being a shop owner years ago, you could have that mentality. Well, they showed up to work today and I paid them, and that's how they know that they did a good job or they did an okay job or whatever that would be.
Right.
No, man, it doesn't have to be like that. You have to value these people. And so the guys that like are really, really struggling to attract technicians because there is a huge shortage, they fail, just statistically, right, as a whole, they fail to adapt, right, to how to market. We've never marketed. We don't need to now. Okay. We've always charged this labor rate. We don't need to change.
Right.
We've been the cheapest in town forever. We're going to stay that way. Okay. Perfect. I can't find technicians, Okay, well, what'd you do? Well, I put an ad in the newspaper. Good move. Good move. I put an ad on Facebook. Okay, that was, that's it. That's all you did, And then when you get these people, sometimes you can help them find technicians, and well, we don't help, people that I feel like aren't, they don't have the customer's best interest at heart. We won't work with them. I don't help them. I don't give them free resources. We give them nothing, and we come across way more good people, because people that are struggling and know that there's a better way are usually the ones that reach out. Sometimes you get the other ones, but for the most part, like, all the people that reach out are really, really good, and so when you get these people that are, they're just negative like that, we just push them aside. There's a million things that are fundamentally wrong that they all are kind of doing wrong.
Right, and that's a good way to go about it, because equally as important as the consultation is the person's willingness to listen to it and to get better. And if you're failing and you think your processes are good, then we don't need to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best when they're teaching you how to have you tried saving, right? I know we just did an episode on like saving and the importance of saving, allocating a certain money or a certain amount of money every single week, right? I remember one time I had a conversation with a guy. It was a very like strenuous call. It was only 10, 15 minutes or something, but every step, well, so how are you doing this? And how are you doing it? We don't need to do that. What do you mean? You don't need to save money? You know what I mean? You don't need to save money. When's the last time you updated your scan tool? I don't know, a couple of years ago. Things don't change that rapidly. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Like month to month?
All the time. Yeah, and these cars that update themselves, you get in your car all the time. Once a week, you get a thing, hey, updating software.
Yeah.
Like all the time, these things are constantly updating. You have to evolve, otherwise don't.
Otherwise don't.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie, thanks for the question.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to mention this. Really, this is a quick fix. It is unorthodox, but for people who are not auto mechanics, the best way to get that check engine light off It's just another use for duct tape. Just put a piece of duct tape right over that.
The Gorilla Tape, it's black. It matches.
Put the Gorilla Tape right on it, and that check engine light goes away. It goes right away. Call me Mr. Foresight.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Boys Under the Hood is brought to you by and sponsored by Lotus Business Solutions. James Stevenson is the owner. LotusPE.us to learn more about Lotus Business Solutions. And I mentioned at the beginning, check out some of our previous podcasts where we talk to real people from real shops across America and hear what they have to say about how the business has evolved since discovering Lotus Business Solutions. Lotus Media, it pretty much speaks for itself. We can develop a message for you, help you put together a consistent ad campaign, whether it's on social or broadcast media. It's what we do.
One of the really cool things that Lotus Media has now is a software that I haven't seen anywhere, and it's something that all of our clients are using. And so there's a couple ways that we can attract customers, right? They can just, they can just walk in the door, or, they can find us online. And so how do they find us online? Our website, our web presence. And then, how do we show up at the top of search? So that's SEO, search engine optimization. How relevant is our site in search?
Right.
And so, one way to show up right at the top is paid ads. Paid ads, you can show up right away. And, the less relevant your site is for that ad, the more it's going to ultimately end up costing you. And so we have an SEO program that works behind the scenes that is a machine learning program. And basically what it does is it takes your real-time analytics for who is coming into your site, and it is in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, optimizing your site based on real-time analytics. Who's coming in? Where are they going? What are they looking for? And then on top of that, it automatically creates ads based on the topics that people are going to your website for and searching. I don't know anybody that's really using this. It's incredible. We have gotten, I would say insane results with this. And, I think if you're interested in showing up in search and your site is being suppressed by a lot of other shops, or you're failing to gain traction in that way, and all you're doing is paying for ads, I think you should reach out to us. And it's an incredible software. We can show you some results, and it doesn't take but a couple days to get you live on this software, and it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
It's a hugely important tool because when someone types in auto shops near me, enter.
Yeah.
Where are you showing up in that?
And it automatically goes out and solicits backlinks, right? So things that are on your site are going to determine your SEO, page content, things that, people ultimately end up searching. And then, backlinks are hugely important too, because to Google, the backlinks, it's like a popularity contest. How many things are pointing at your site, right? How many people, how many sites, whatever. And so this software does all of that. It's a combination of softwares, but it's they all work in conjunction with one another. And so just for for reference, I used to pay about $1,800 a month every month for one backlink. So I would pay for a company to go out there and look for backlinks, right? $1,800 a month for one good backlink. And then you can write blogs, and blogs are great. And that takes time and energy to write these blogs, and then going in there to your website to fix errors and do all of this different stuff. Our software does all of it. It does all of it, and it's cheaper than the 1,800. And so it does all of these different things, and it's seamless. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's working for you. It's incredible. If you can't, you're not going to beat AI, so you might as well just join it.
Completely objective feedback as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And accountability, buddy. Right?
Yeah, all day.
At the end of the day, it's all about accountability.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to Lotus Financial, lotusfinancial.us. There, whether it's your taxes, right? Taxes, payroll, your bookkeeping, your HR. You don't want to do this stuff at the end of the day. You do what you do. That would be like me coming off my radio show and then doing my own taxes and trying to figure out my own expenses. What went into my show today? Blah 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 blah. No, I want to do what I want to do.
No, you got to develop.
Yeah.
You got to develop and implement.
Right.
Not your taxes.
I pay a tax guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Partially because I'm scared. I don't want the IRS, like I said earlier, there's some things I don't know, and the IRS doesn't like that answer. What about this $10,000? I don't know. James, it's been good hanging out with you for another edition of Boys Under the Hood today. Thanks for joining us today for Boys Under the Hood. Please leave a comment. If you have a question, please leave a question. We would love to address it. Thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah.